But for me, it was Tuesday.
Howdy. Hello. I am Jonas Campbell, and this over here, that's Nolan Thunder, and we are here to talk about video games. We got some more people joining us in just a moment. That's why I did that super long intro today. Guys, we've got a lot to talk about in gaming. Nolan, before we do that, how you doing?
I'm feeling pretty hyped to talk about the news today. I feel like we got a good show ahead of us. We'll get the energy. We'll get the fireworks going. It's going to be lit.
Speaking of things that are lit, is that the smell of burning fur that I detect? Hey, look, it's Marvin the Movie Monster.
No, it's
Marvin.
burning. It's burning rubber because I had to haul booty to get back home from Epcot in time for the show.
Well, I'm glad that you made it here. How was Epcot?
It was interesting. I may have found my first investigative piece. While I was there, but I got to talk to you after the show about it because I want to see if there's a story there. But it was good.
Good.
I had a pork slider, which is usually one of my favorite things at the Food and Wine Festival, but it had been under a heat lamp, so the top bun was like stale and crispy, and the bottom bun was so saturated from the pork that you couldn't actually pick it up, so I had to eat it with a fork.
Oh, well, just so you know, Pork Slider Heat Lamp was the name of my prog rock band back in high school. So
I'm glad you got that plug in.
Thank you. Check us out on SoundCloud. We do have a lot of stories to cover here today. Culture Casino will not be joining us, but there is something that we absolutely have to talk about. Spencer Baculi will be joining us in just a little while, so I think I'm going to save one feel-good story that we've got for later. But let's talk about this one. It's a bit of an embarrassment for the Game Awards. Geoff Keighley is trying to trademark the Game Awards and might cause issue for Stuttering Craig's The Real Game Awards show. This from Marvin Montanero.
Thank you very much. Can I just say that, as you know how Spencer despises Simu Liu?
Mm-hmm.
That's I hate Geoff Keighley with that same level of venom, but I try to be a professional when I write about him.
Is that why you chose this particular picture?
Yes, I tried to find the stupidest looking picture of him I could possibly find.
As long as you're being objective about it, I think that's safe. Wow.
No, I'm objective in the reporting, but I will put a butt-faced picture of him up. He's just the worst. He's everything wrong with the gaming industry.
Well, he only has one face. So if he has that kind of face, well, here we are. Geoff Keighley has attempted to trademark the Game Awards. This move could cripple independent creators and smaller outlets that run their own video game awards, like Stuttering Craig of Side Scrollers and his upcoming Real Game Awards show. Keighley started the Game Awards in 2014. At the time, the event celebrated gamers and the games they loved. In the decades since, it has grown into a corporate outlet for a very bloated games industry, often pushing agendas and towing shill corporate lines in an attempt to net exclusive trailers and announcements from huge studios.
You know, one thing that I had heard the Stuttering Craig said on Valiant's show the other night was it costs, for a 1-minute spot on the Game Awards, it costs $250,000.
Wow.
Something like that. I think that's what he said.
Yeah, that's the kind of money that sometimes these kind of events, you might do a crowdfunding campaign in order to get your foot in the door and say, hey, this is what we're going to do here. But that's, I don't even think that's worth it at this point.
No.
And honestly, who watches these things? Probably us, by the way, as far as
I do. I've watched I get annoyed every year when I watch it, but because it's just so shilly. It's You know, when Hogwarts Legacy was nominated for nothing, and we'll get in as we go through, this next section here about how exactly the Game Awards are chosen and how the winners are chosen, because it's ridiculous. It's insulting.
Well, this is how it's done. The Game Awards, or you could tell us, Marvin, what's your preference here?
So the winners, first of all, the nominees are decided by a jury of industry professionals. That includes people from outlets like IGN, Polygon, Variety, PC Gamer, and the like. So players have no say in the nominees. They also have no say in the winners, but Geoff likes to pretend they do. He's always like, go cast your votes. Cast your votes for who's going to win. But that's not true. The public vote counts for only 10% of the actual results that go toward the winners, while the media jury, now those people from IGN, from Polygon, from Variety, from PC Gamer, the people that gave Dragon Age the Veilguard a 9 out of 10, these are the people that are deciding 90% of the vote for each Game Award.
Why is Variety included in the panel of experts? That's ridiculous.
Well, I assume so that somebody can go up to the people at BioWare and go, would you say that this is the gayest game that's ever been made?
I mean, that guy better be careful. He's about to become a living meme.
He already is.
I really hope that one day he comes up when they're about to release like a new console. It's like, is this the gayest video game system ever made?
Was he talking about the Xbox?
Yes.
Following a video by Moriarty of the Really Cool YouTube channel back in December of 2023. Is it Colin Moriarty? No, it's just Moriarty.
Just so you guys know, the Really Cool, it's called Really Cool. I'm not saying that it's a really cool YouTube channel, although it was pretty cool.
In a response to my video, the Game Awards has taken the unprecedented step this year of deleting their jury page and hiding who's involved. We have moved further away from transparency, and the Game Awards should be ashamed. This is a quote tweet of Unmasking the Game Awards, exploring the Game Awards voting process. I uncover a lack of transparency in its secretive jury and voting. I found several cases of concerning conflicts of interest, an eye-opening call for ethics reform to preserve the awards' credibility. So are these gamers gatekeeping, or are they gamer gatekeeping? Is that
something like that
a good way to phrase it? Like a gamer gate of some kind?
It's just the way he does it's so disingenuous. Like when he announced the nominees the other day, he was like, everybody go cast your votes for the winners. I'm like, why bother? It's so it's like when you when you tell your kid that like they're gonna wash the car with you or something like that, and they like squirt the hose for like a second and then you finish it.
Yeah. Well, except that leads to something eventually. In this case, they want you hanging on forever, thinking that you're doing good when actually they are in complete control. They need you to eat up all the slop. That's what they need. They want you to feel like you are involved, but you definitely are not involved.
The Dorito Pope likes to put this over as if he is giving a voice to the voiceless. Like, this is for the gamers. It's not. It's for the AAA gaming studios only. They're the only people that get anything out of this.
Did you just call Geoff Keighley the Dorito Pope?
Yeah, that's what people call him. You never heard that? I think I explained it in the article. He did an interview back in it was years and years ago. And it was just like nonstop Doritos and Mountain Dew ads, like all over the place. Like he's literally surrounded by Doritos and Mountain Dew, and people started calling him the Dorito Pope.
Okay, well, I have to admit, I was putting together. Maybe it was the thumbnail for this channel, maybe it was a thumbnail for a different channel, but I saw him in a bunch of Doritos and a bunch of Mountain Dew Code Red, and I was like, man, I could really go for a Mountain Dew right now. But
that was from the interview.
Yeah. What would RFK think of me? Anyways, continuing on, Keighley's show even features a category called Games for Impact, which essentially celebrates games that inject the most DEI that year. Keighley described it as recognizing a thought-provoking game with a profound pro-social meaning.
Yeah, it's wokest game of the year.
It makes sense why routinely over the years the Game Awards gives the shaft to Japanese-made games or Korean games or whatever have you, because they're not woke enough. It makes total sense.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of game? I really want to understand this particular category a little bit better. What what is that award actually being given to? Like, what are we talking now? We're talking Celeste, that was all about overcoming depression. Are we talking anything that just happens to have
this year's nominees
in
for it? This year's nominees for it are Closer the Distance, Indica, Neva, Life is Strange Double Exposure, Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, and Tales of Kenzira ZAU.
Yeah, I'm just really not interested in any of those games. I hear that I think that ZAU might actually be a good game, but they got involved with Sweet Baby Inc. and I'm not intending on.
Well, that's why they're up for the award.
I feel like Hall & Oates right now because I feel out of touch. Are these games like huge right now, or are they just looking for whichever niche game was going to hit the quotas?
They're just looking for games that pander, essentially, which is interesting because they did not nominate like Dustborn or Veilguard or anything like that. So I thought that was very interesting. Or Concord should have been immediately disqualified because it barely released. So, but yes, I'm sure we'll get into the nominations in a little bit because there's a few things about the nominations that are very, very interesting.
We will go to the article that actually talks about what games got nominated. Let's see. Games for Impact is one of the show's featured award. It gets a full presentation and acceptance speech. Well, categories like Best Sports Game get only a passing mention.
So that's how they run the show. So essentially, like the big awards, like Game of the Year, Best Performance, Best Direction, Best Music, and Games for Impact get the full Oscar treatment. The presenter comes up, they talk about it, they present the nominees. The winner comes up, they give the acceptance speech, they leave. A lot of the other awards, Best RPG, Best Action Adventure Game, Best Sports Game, they get a very so they'll have a model standing in front of a camera and be like, and the nominees for Best RPG are blah, 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 and the winner is blah, blah, blah. Congratulations, blah, blah, blah. Now on to the next one, and they'll do like 5 awards rapid fire like that.
You know, I thought the first blah, blah, blah was good, but there was so much squandered potential in blah, 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 blah 2.
They really ruined blah, blah, blah 3 with a lot of forced diversity.
And usually in those Speedfire rounds, they usually choose some of the more interesting awards compared to some of the other ones. And not to mention, when they do the Speedfire, it's usually after like minutes upon minutes of just ads beforehand. So when you finally get to the show, you're just seeing that in like 3 minutes, and you're just like, I feel like I just got gypped. It's terrible presentation.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I went and I looked real quick. Celeste did get Games for Impact in the year that it was, and then Senua's whatever. What is the name of that game? What is the actual name of that game? The one that's like the Viking game starring the girl that's very cinematic. Doesn't matter.
YouTube. You talking about Horizon?
No, it's the other one with the
Hellblade.
Yes, that's right. Hellblade. Senua's Sacrifice by Ninja Theory.
Oh, okay.
So anyways, moving on, YouTube personality Smash JT brought this issue to light in a video on his official channel, simply titled Geoff Keighley Must Be Stopped. Yeah, I think he ought to. I thought this was a joke, Smash JT said while standing on the shore of Laguna Beach, but the Dorito Pope is actually moving forward with trying to silence any kind of opposition. Keighley earned the nickname Dorito Pope during an interview with LevelSave.com back in 2012. The interview featured excessive advertising for Doritos and Mountain Dew, which led gamers granting him the dubious moniker.
Yeah, I had to put that in the article just because like I loved the quote from Smash, and I was like, I feel like people are going to question why he's called the Dorito Pope.
I just have to admire the fact that you got the words dubious moniker in an article. Congrats on that.
Let's see, and I'm trying to get past some of the Games for Impact category here, but it kind of looked like it used to be games that were heavy on the narrative and talked about emotional issues, like that Dragon Cancer. I never played it, but reading about it, I can understand why that would be on there. But Games for Impact now it appears to be taken over by things that are straight up diversity play kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
As if that is the only issue that we need to be concerned with. Where is he? Moriarty highlighted Keighley's trademark plot on X. Keighley is attempting to trademark game awards with the U.S. Patent Office, meaning no one else will be able to host an award show with the words Game Awards in it. Worse, he's emailing fans and requesting they file with the USPTO on his behalf. So did we ever get any confirmation on that claim from Moriarty that he's emailing other people?
Yes. It's our headline story right now on TPP.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Here we go. Geoff Keighley begs gamers to help and plot to trademark the Game Awards. We'll be covering that in just a moment.
To use the picture again.
Yep. Essentially, okay. So Side Scrollers podcast has been pushing forward with the real Game Awards for some time, and there are people involved with that Park Place who are sponsors of the real Game Awards. Valiant Renegade, I think, is at the highest tier of sponsorship for the awards, and I don't know if he gets to name or gets to present one of the categories, but the intention is to be a lot more democratic in how these things are presented. I understand they're doing digital for the first year, but they want it to be a live event soon after in the coming years.
I really believe in what Craig is trying to do. I had thought about becoming a sponsor of the Real Game Awards, but then with my role with that Park Place, I decided I didn't. Since I am trying to report news objectively, I didn't want a conflict of interest.
Well, it might be okay. I mean, if we talk about the subject and we note that we're involved, I don't think that'll be
that's very true. Maybe I will throw some support then. I don't know, because I believe in what they're doing.
What if it's something? But what if it was something like Bounding into Comics?
Oh, that rag. I mean, yeah. I love Bounding.
I'm the one here who doesn't believe in any of this garbage. So
you don't believe that Geoff Keighley is trying to trademark the Game Awards?
Oh no, I believe that. I don't believe in any of Stuttering Craig's Game Awards bullcrap. I don't believe in any of that.
Okay.
I might get a text later on here.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show.
I mean, that's my opinion. I don't see this as, or do you guys want me to give my opinion, or do we just want to skip over? No, it's going to be negative.
I mean, I don't think we should be afraid of a negative opinion. I just think that I think that the way the Game Awards are done, where it's 90% chosen by IGN, Polygon, and Variety, it's not representative of gamers or what gamers want. I think a People's Choice Award for gaming, I think, is something we desperately need. Here's the problem,
Marvin. So I'm of two opinions on this. One, I do think the Game Awards is dumb. It's not democratic. It's done by a giant panel of industry like studios and outlets and all that stuff. No, it's dumb. That also relates to a point I've been making over the past few weeks on this show, on Tooneytown, on my own show, which is, why do we care about these awards? If you like a game, go out and play a game, go find your own enjoyment. There are so many games that I love, that I think are amazing, that the press or gamers in general do not care for, right? So like any review scores or awards like that, it's all subjective. At the very end of the day, what does it matter if one person doesn't like the game that you like? Now, in terms of Stuttering Craig's thing, I understand what the idea of it is, but the problem is the People's Choice Awards, that's completely open and free. Anybody can go vote there. I don't have to give you money to pay for voting in the People's Choice Awards. If I have to give you money to vote in an awards show, well, now I'm just becoming a jury, just like the Game Awards has. Yes, it's more open to people, but it's still, you only get to vote if you pay. Well, then, okay, now I'm only getting the opinion of that paid group of people who follow Stuttering Craig.
Well, if I can,
I don't know.
If I could gently push back on that for a second, I would say that, he's not taking money from AAA gaming studios or any corporate interests, which that's why it has to be completely fan funded.
But I get that, but I'm not against him going, hey, if you guys would like to donate to me, I'm making an awards show, I could use the funds to really get this going. Cool. Nothing wrong with that. But when he's saying, if you want to vote, you need to give me money for this. This is the most democratic way possible. The only way for us to have true democracy is for you to give me money. I can't get behind that.
I understand what you're saying. He's being very open about it. And I like the idea of the Real Game Awards. There are some things like, I probably won't participate in the jiggle physics category here, but I support the idea of the Real Game Awards, and
I mean,
if he's doing it and he's being very upfront with how he's doing it, it's fine.
Look at the image that I used right here.
It's not
in
not
this
fine
article.
to me if he's charging you money to vote. Like that's my big. If he just wanted to say everybody can come vote, I'm gonna have an open poll. I want to hear from you guys, or hey, sign up for my forum for free, but you have to have an account. Sure, but the second he goes, I only want to hear from people who will pay me. Yeah, it's not AAA studios, but it's still, being paid. It's still not a free democratic opinion. I still don't agree with it.
The image that I chose to use here is I used it because I feel like it describes exactly my problem with the Game Awards. Al Pacino as a presenter. Al Pacino has never played a video game in his life, and he said it. The first thing he did was he's like, "Oh, I never played a video game in my life. Ooh, like what am I doing here?" It's so far removed from gamers. It's so far removed from everything that gamers enjoy. It's black tie, and that's one thing that Craig said that I agree with. It's like gamers are blue jeans and baseball caps and Doritos, which Geoff Keighley is intimately familiar with. But the black tie gala at the Peacock Theater in Hollywood, it just doesn't. It's not gaming. It's not reflective of the actual gaming community, and I hate that.
And you're completely right, Martin, but here's my own thing is that I find it so hard to care, because I go, yeah, this is dumb that Al Pacino's there, but why do I care about the Game Awards? At the end of the day, I know none of these, it's all corporate. I know it's all just Geoff Keighley getting his bag. So when I look at all these things, when I see people go, why isn't my game nominated? I just go, what does it matter? It's the Game Awards. We all know this is a sham.
It's one of those where I also believe that there is too much drama about the Game Awards, which is honestly the reason I really don't care about it. It's just so corporate. And I a lot of respect for Craig and what he's doing. I'm firstly with you, Spencer. I don't really think they should have payment for voting, but that's part of the beauty is anyone can create, their own Game Awards with their own style. The problem with it is bringing it full circle is they're trying to trademark this, which might mean he's trying to shut down any other competition he's getting. Am I looking too deep into that?
Yes,
no, you're not.
And that's not just Craig. That's Craig is
no, not at all.
I think Craig might have been the impetus for this because he has done this for 10 years and he's just now choosing to try to trademark the term. It's like there's plenty of other game awards out there and they use game awards in their title. It'll be like the Superstar Game Awards or something like that. And what he would do is then it's basically trademarking trademarking common terminology.
Yeah.
It's what Marvel and DC did with superheroes. That trademark just came up earlier this year. So
I'm going to give it's a talk panel, and you guys can do what you want here. But I do want to throw in something as a final word on the Real Game Awards here, as the representative of Culture's channel while he's out, poor guy. The sponsorship has to come from somewhere. It does for an event in the way that they're supposed to do it. He's being upfront with how that sponsorship works. He's trying not to get sponsorship from.
But it's not just a sponsorship, Jonas.
Hey! It is a sponsorship, though. It is. Do you think Doritos and Mountain Dew or whatever have no say in how those award shows go? Of course, they're gonna.
That's what I'm saying, though. The people. Go ahead.
All right. I think that Craig is being very upfront with what he's doing. Someone has to fund it. And I don't think that currently Side Scrollers is at the point where they can just do this all on their own and make it into the event that I think that Craig wants to make it into. So that funding has to come from somewhere. And I appreciate that being upfront with it. I like the idea of the Real Game Awards. He's not doing it the way that I would do it, but I also probably would never get around to doing it. So I see your point, Spencer. I like Craig a lot, and so I'm going to defend him a little bit.
This is not a comment on Craig's character. This is a comment on this specific business.
Okay, well, you should be careful with your phrasing then, because you called him a word that I am not going to repeat.
I said all of this stuff was BS. I didn't call him anything.
Okay. As long as you're clarifying that, then I have no problem with it. But I would like to very much continue calling a different person bologna sausage here. But before we do that, let's get to super chats. So Samuel Main with a $3 super sticker. I can't see it.
Yay!
Let me see. I'm still stuck in the back.
I'm sure it's adorable and whimsical, and it's gonna give us all happy feelings.
I will find out. But I'm going to come back to it when I do. Machini draws for $20. I support the Real Game Awards, but I completely agree with Spencer and understand. We need to hold each other to the standards that the industry personnel, media pundits, journalists, and shills don't hold, let alone integrity.
Bingo. Exactly, Machini.
Yeah. The idea of you have to have access in order to be a part of the voting, and for things that I don't think anybody likes being put to the top of the list. Actually, we're going to talk about what actually got nominated for awards this year, and it's a little bit surprising, and I would love to get everyone's comments on that.
Yeah, Balatro sweep. That's all I have to say.
Yeah,
greatest game of all time.
I have had Balatro sitting on my phone for 3 weeks, and I have yet to open it up because I'm a very obsessive gamer. So,
yeah. Oh, it will get you. It will get you. It gets me.
Yep. Jacob Foxfires for $10. Hard disagree. See, look at this. This is engagement right here. And thank you very much for the $10 super chat. Hard disagree. A free and open choice award will have no way you can verify if these are people unless you want to give these random people your personal info. How many bots will vote for that? Okay.
That is also a point.
I agree with you, but that's also why I said you can put in things like make an account. Guess what? You can still do it today. If I really wanted to, I could go sign up for 7 different accounts and pay Stuttering Craig to all get those accounts eligible for voting. He's not running, voter ID checks either. So like that. That's
I hear that those are kind of problematic, though.
I know. That's why he's not doing it. He's listening. He's very, very inclusive.
One cool thing in the future too is if they get to do these in-person events one day, hopefully they can just have the audience that's already there, as bought a ticket.
That would be awesome. Like that would be fantastic. Yeah, it's just I don't agree with the idea of saying give me money to vote. And I know a lot of you guys are saying, well, where else are they going to get the money, right? Well, you can do other things, host live streams, sell merch, do something, or just ask people donate to me. But the second you say, I get that they're a small company and it's not a big thing. They don't have a bunch of funders, but it's the second you say you can't vote unless you pay, that really doesn't sit right with me.
Yep, I understand. And Samuel Maine, by the way, you are absolutely right, Marvin. It is that Bean fellow with putting out a
Mr.
big
Bean?
thumbs up. No, not that Bean fellow. I do love that guy, and he's
hysterical.
The artist of the century. Let's see here. Oh, by the way, if you haven't hit the like button, it would really help out the channel. Machini draws for $5. Watch the Game Awards for the clown show and look at previews. Everything else.
Yes, it's literally just the trailers.
That is the thing. The only reason I ever watched the Game Awards is specifically for the trailers and for that one year when Christopher Judge won for performance and talked for like 20
Oh my god.
Oh, that was so good.
I hated that. I hated that in the moment, but now I love it.
It's
it's the
best Game Awards moment ever.
Remember how they were also like giving away like PS4s or whatever during the show, like every minute? So he just kept dragging on and on his speech. And they're like, how many PS4s did we go through in that span of time?
Yeah, I remember.
Hilarious.
It was
Kalichi Oak for $5. Forgive me. I appreciate you. I hear you, Spencer, but putting on an award show requires money. At least this is fan funded, but the game by the gamers, for the gamers, no corporate sponsorship. I don't know that he's doing absolutely no corporate sponsorship. Is that part of the...
I can't talk to that. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he said no corporate sponsorship, but I don't want to be directly quoted on that.
Yeah. I remember the time that you said that there was no corporate sponsorship. That's okay. Minimal Effort Live for $5. Calling it now, Metaphor Refantasio will win Game of the Year at the Game Awards. The media has already promoted it as a woke game. Black Myth doesn't stand a chance.
Oh, I already think Black Myth doesn't stand a chance, but
we're definitely going to talk about this one. Yeah,
Metaphor Refantasio.
He's not fun anyway.
Yeah, it got 6 nominations, so it came in second after the 2-way tie between Astrobot and FF7 Remake, which I'm sure we'll get into in a minute.
Yeah. Jacob Foxfires for $5 more. How much easier is it to game a system? Being able to make an account and duplicate that for free, or do that while stacking up payments? Well, I don't know. Do you get more weight if you're at that 1,337 area as opposed to the just a voting member? I don't know. Also, I think that people that are in the academy, they pay their way in there. They get, well, and after they're in, they get paid to be, well, maybe not paid, but you know, the people in the Oscars Academy, they get schmoozed and wined and dined. So, Jacob Foxfires for $2, free is never free. I feel like this is a statement that actually applies to many more things outside of gaming, but yes, it also applies here. When you get something for free, you are the product. Uh-oh, we've lost Spencer. Okay, but we're going to move on to the next aspect of the Game Awards here. Geoff Keighley begs gamers to help in plot to trademark the Game Awards. You know, the thing I appreciate the most about this is how Craig is embarrassing Geoff Keighley on this. Geoff Keighley, the man who started the Game Awards 10 years ago, is trying to enlist gamers in his plot to trademark the event's name and effectively silence competition. By the way, Stuttering Craig is not the only person to have an award show for games called the Game Awards. There's a Swedish Game Awards. There are other. Actually, I would love to see a Swedish version of the God of War. Now,
although does that get by technically, Jonas? Because it's not the Game Awards; it's like the Goshunga Gonkishigabongs or whatever. The Horse Borsches, PS4, Horse Borsche.
The Muppet Game Awards.
The people outside of I hope that Swedish people understand that their only representation in the media for a very long time was a Muppet.
Still is.
Speaking nonsense. Yep.
If Keighley's filing with the U.S. Patent Office succeeds, he'll own the term Game Awards. This is an incredibly generic term used by many smaller award shows run by independent creators. Keighley is the largest voice in the gaming award show scene, with his star-studded event taking place every year on YouTube, backed by the AAA industry. Marvin, you wrote this. Is there anything that you want to throw in here to add context on this one?
No, so basically he sends out an email and he's basically he's trying to get people to DocuSign an article in support of basically stating that, yes, we the consumers believe that Geoff Keighley and Game Awards are intertwined with one another, and it is his brand and it is recognizable with him and him only, and he should own it. Essentially, and then he's asking them also to share personal anecdotes about like what the Game Awards mean. I don't think JT made this point, and I made it as well in the article. It's people, they don't. I don't think they really understand the implications of like, yeah, Geoff Keighley, the Game Awards, that's great. I love that show. They don't understand the implications of what happens if he owns it and what that does to others. I think that they're kind of hiding the.
No, you're 100% on point.
Yeah.
It's a ridiculous trademark at this point, like the trademark of the word superhero.
Right. I tried to. I pointed out in the paragraph above, like, you can't trademark sporting goods store because it's a generic term, but you can trademark Dick's Sporting Goods because that's a corporate. That is an identifiable entity. There are safeguards put in place. Now, the thing that people worry about is we all know how, the federal government works. And then if Geoff Keighley moves enough of his mommy and daddy's money around, then, we might start to see some things shift and some loopholes exploited.
Okay, so Marvin, you've made several references to the fact that Geoff Keighley might have a little bit of money back there in the inheritance or potential inheritance here.
I think I called him a silver spoon recipient in this article.
Is that how he got to the place where he had the first Game Awards out there?
He comes from a very wealthy family, and then I believe he was in the games journalism industry for a while. I believe.
Yeah,
I try not to look too deeply.
He's been here for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, so that
we definitely can have our criticisms of him now, like with his shilliness and Game Awards and all that, but he does have a respectable history in journalism. Like I was really surprised. Halo 2 or Halo Infinite right now is doing a bunch of like Halo 2 anniversary stuff. So they're releasing like new maps and weapons and documentaries and stuff. And in one of their updates, they were like, oh yeah, and if you want to have another trip down memory lane, why don't you check out this article written during the final development hours of Halo 3 before it went gold, written in 2004 by Geoff Keighley. And I was like, oh, wow, that's crazy. Like, I always forget how long he's been here.
Oh, yeah, no, and he did pretty good at journalism for the limited stuff I've seen of him. Because I know he's he's been getting some criticism throughout this, but I remember years ago, I believe it was him that interviewed Reggie Fils-Aimé, former president of Nintendo, when the Wii U version of Batman Arkham City was coming out, and it was like Armored Edition or whatever. And basically, the best feature they could provide on the Wii U was that he had like Batman had these super gloves that could were like electrically powered, and he'd like attack villains with them.
Yeah, it was kind of lame.
He talked a bit about this in his book. I think the two of them eventually kind of mended things, but at the time, I think Geoff was kind of going at him. It's like, okay, what's different about this game? What's so special about it?
Yes,
it's a great clip.
Geoff has been around long enough to watch the games journalism industry turn into the shill games journalism industry, and basically to become what we have now with the Polygons, the Kotakus, and the IGNs, where nothing ever gets questioned and the AAA line is walked, and that's where you get the Game Awards, which is essentially just a shill outlet for AAA studios to pass along their message. I mean, I don't know who's on the jury specifically, but I mean, like, what are the odds that a Kim Belair or Alyssa Mercante are on the jury for the Game Awards?
I mean, what are the odds that she gets up to present an award? Honestly,
I could see Belair doing an award, but also to your point, Marvin, even if. Because from what we saw, because I think you covered it, right, on TPP, like they had their jury list up for like a second, and then they took it down, right? And when we saw it, it was mostly like corporate entities, like and outlets and stuff. So I don't know if they'll put specifically, a Belair or her co-owner of Sweet Baby, whatever his name is, like on the actual jury. But A, I think Jonas is right; she'll probably present an award, and B, it's more the sense that like all of those entities have been infected by that. Like all of those entities have probably gotten that DEI training, that Sweet Baby relationship at some point. So they're working from that Sweet Baby base, which is just even more terrifying.
In the just the name itself is so cringe.
Sweet Baby.
Sweet Baby.
Sweet Baby.
Yeah. So we want to cover the actual Game Awards here for just a moment. Because,
the nominees.
Yes, exactly. That's the word.
There's not yet another award show called the actual Game Awards.
Not yet.
Not yet.
I'm starting that one, and you can all give me $1, and I'll just pick them myself.
I'm out of here, Jonas. There's principles.
Pikmin 4 has won Game of the Year for 2038.
Never mind. I'm back in.
Playing it at that point.
I'm back in.
No, actually, I'm sorry. Pikmin 3 Deluxe is the pinnacle. Of
Even more back in.
Excuse me. Pikmin 1 would like to know your location.
The location of Pikmin
Good luck
1
on the game.
Which copy of Pikmin 1 would you like? The digital copy or the copy on the Switch or the one that's on the Wii Select? I've got many.
Wii Motion Plus, baby.
Exactly. Well, that's what they released on the Wii U eShop back in the day. Radial Drago for £5. From what I've heard from his podcast, the fee is his way of screening people to stop bad faith voting. Yep, money is one way to do that. That's what Elon Musk did with X. Took a long time for X to, well, you could still argue X has some problems, but at least we stop hearing about things in people's bios. So, yep.
I mean, it just changed. It just changed from pronoun and pride flags to MAGA 4040. Like it's just.
Not those things in bios. I was talking about the fact that everything got a response of some lady parts in bio. So, yeah. Anyways, I hope that I didn't give anybody any information there that they weren't aware of, that Twitter had a bot problem on that. But let's talk about this one. The Game Awards rejects woke titles with official nominations. Is Geoff Keighley feeling the heat from Stuttering Craig's The Real Game Awards? What we really want to talk about here is the nominations. First of all, Black Myth Wukong, definitely on the list. You guys, do you know what's definitely not on the Game of the Year list?
Dragon Age: The Veilguard.
Dragon Age: The Veilguard. When is the cutoff for this? This, by the way,
I wondered that too. I wondered that too. Yeah, it must have been, because I was paying very close attention, because if it didn't get nominated for anything, I was going to have to look into where the cutoff was. But then it got nominated for one award for accessibility features.
Yeah, that's very true, and I'm kind of surprised it didn't end up in the Games for Impact area.
I'm genuinely surprised by that.
Yeah, so Star Wars Outlaws is on some of them. Dragon Age not. Where is the list here? Do we need to go to their actual website for the list?
I didn't include a full list of all the nominees. I included the big ones.
All right.
Some of the big ones.
Yeah, because I know how that goes, Chief. Because otherwise you're there for like 4 hours, like putting it all into a list.
You
like,
know it, Chief.
Okay. I wrote Call of Duty 6 how many times today?
You guys are adorable here, calling each other Chief back and forth. Well, I'm the chief editor of that Park Place, the channel now. I'm the video guy in chief. Hold on one second.
Chief.
I think that there's a way to do this where we can just put the info dump on screen and we can all
if you go to their Twitter, we can just scroll down.
Yeah, there's a whole Twitter thread of all of them.
All right. Well, first of all, here is a big ad for
even better.
There we go.
Oh, even better. Way better. But now we don't get to see the awful graphic work from the Game Awards.
Yeah, here we go. Game of the Year. The nominees are Game of the Year. The nominees are Astrobot, Balatro, Black Myth Wukong, Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erd Tree, which I do believe is DLC.
That is a DLC add-on, yes.
At Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Metaphor Refantasio.
Can we mention the Elden Ring thing real quick before we move on? Because
please go ahead.
It's insane.
It's dumb. It's the dumbest
there
thing.
should be a category for best DLC, which obviously Elden Ring would have won. But you can make now. I've heard people making the argument because if you play the DLC and you do full exploration, you can get 40 hours of gameplay out of it. Which is, you could say is kind of like but like if you're just playing it straight through the story, it's 10 hours. It's not a game. It's not game of the year. And if Final Fantasy VII loses out again to Elden Ring because of this, I am going to lose my mind.
It won't because Balatro is going to sweep because Balatro is the actual deserved winner. I'm not even joking.
I just have to point this out. When Balatro came up on screen, there were on the Nintendo Direct, a lot of people had no idea what it was. So Spencer, can you quickly explain what it was what it is?
What Balatro is it's a single player deck building game built on the mechanics of poker. So essentially you try to get various poker hands for certain points, but you have different cards that you can add, different effects, different abilities. So it's really about, you go into each round, if you will, and it's like you have to get this amount of points, this amount of money. And so you've got to strategize and build your deck and choose the right cards to get that. And it's just insanely addictive and it's like a good game. Like that's sort of why I'm so all in on it, because video games, guys, like I love Final Fantasy VII, don't get me wrong, but in terms of like what's actually pushing video games forward and changing the medium and getting us to think about different ways of how video games can play and stuff, that's what Balatro does. And it's an indie like effort from like 2 guys, so that one easily gets my vote for Game of the Year. But I also, you guys all know me here, I'm a very big TCG guy, so I am obviously very, very biased.
Yeah, when I see a deck builder, I generally pass on it, except that the reaction to Balatro was pretty strong when it showed up on Nintendo Direct. I'm married and I have 4 kids, and I have a whole bunch of channels that I edit for and produce for, so I don't get to play very often, which is why I end up sitting down.
I'm a loser who's single and doesn't have a bunch of responsibility, so I can play it all day long.
You only run Bounding into Comics. I mean, come on. Astrobot.
Yeah, you say that, but you're like, I've got a family and kids and a billion sites to run, and I'm just like, I got one. I'm gonna take a nap later.
But looking over at this, I have to say, Astrobot, I get it. It was very well done.
I'm glad that's there at least.
It was, and it's a lot of fun. Black Myth Wukong, the footage that I've seen of Black Myth Wukong,
Jonas, yesterday, I was on Words of Paradise with Andrew of the Rippaverse, and we were actually talking about Astrobot in the nominations, and Andrew was like, man, I get Astrobot's good, but here's the real question. And he was like getting indignant. He was like, what family? Like, it's a kid's game, but it's on PS5. Who even has this? And I was like, hey, guess what? Jonas's kids have this. And he was just like, shut up. And I don't know, it was pretty great.
Actually, my kids are not allowed to touch the PS5 because I've seen how they treat the Nintendo Switch. So there's one child, very small, that gets to play Astrobot. And so
it's behind bulletproof glass with laser defense.
Heaven help them if I ever get a PS5 Pro.
It has like the little turrets from Portal in front of it guarding it with the Gatling guns.
If you got the PS5 Pro, then you could just let them have the PS5.
So I'm joking a little bit here. They do get to play on the PS5 occasionally, but the way that
if it had a good day in the mines, they can play an hour of Astrobot.
The children do love the mines in the Minecraft, but man, the kids do not like the Minecraft movie. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I'm going to say this is not one that connects with me, so I'm going to defer to Marvin. Does that belong on this list?
Yes, it's fantastic. It's a beautiful open world game. They take the narrative of the original and they expand upon it in a way that just really brings the story to life in a new way. I mean, I have probably beaten Final Fantasy VII Rebirth since it came out 6 times.
Wow.
So
wow.
I when I finish it, I start over again. It's my between games. Actually, just last night I was like, all right, well, I got some gaming time tonight. So should I dive back into Veilguard? Nope. I'm gonna put in FF7 Remake and just start a new playthrough.
I just need them to announce the PC version already. It's been like a year. Please. Come on. That's all I'm waiting for.
And then Metaphor Refantasio. I have not played that one yet.
Heard it's great. It's one of those games like Persona 5, though, that is like 900 hours long, and we'll probably get a deluxe version eventually. So I'm waiting for that.
Yeah. I also noticed that Best Game Direction is the exact same list as Game of the Year. So I have to wonder, like, what is the point?
What does it even mean? Yeah.
I really don't get it. Best Narrative.
If it's all the same games, why don't they take advantage? They're like, oh, oops, that happened. How about we take one of those other categories we give the Shaft to every year and, elevate those to the big stage. Give them a chance to shine, maybe also, like a soundtrack or something.
Or conversely, Nolan, to that same end, like you could either do that or they have 54 categories. They could probably stand to, slim this down a little bit.
Yeah, agreed.
Looking at this, I'm trying to see Best Narrative. I'll take their word for it. Best Art Direction. We got another one. Neva. I'm trying to see here. I will say Best Score in Music. No doubt Final Fantasy VII.
Yes.
Nobuo Uematsu did the soundtrack for that, right?
Yeah, I've listened to the soundtrack at least.
I think he advised on it, but he did not. I don't think he gets the full credit on it.
Oh well, then they don't deserve the award.
but a lot of it is remixes of his original stuff. So
now,
then Ghost Shadows of the Erdtree deserves the spot. Then Marvin on Game of the Year.
Yeah,
I gotta say though, for Best Score in Music, I am very happy to see Stellar Blade on there. That game had an awesome soundtrack, one of the best soundtracks.
That's what I've been hearing. I've been hearing that game has had great soundtrack.
I think Stellar Blade got like 2 nominations, which would be Star Wars Outlaws got more than it, which.
Yeah. Looking at this, I don't really care for the best performance category here.
Brianna White did a really good job as Aerith, I will say, in FF7 Rebirth. She is the fact that she wasn't nominated the year for FF7 Remake was ridiculous. But yeah, I did notice like they don't have like best actor, best actress in games. They just have best performance. So it's just a mixture of men and women. And we've got only 1 dude, 4 ladies, and one of those ladies is Humberly Gonzalez for Star Wars Outlaws.
It's so funny. I think that they have had so much trouble trying to fight the narrative with Humberly Gonzalez because most of the narrative around that has not been, we don't like her because she's this, or we don't because she's that. It's actually been the opposite. People have been saying, no, we like her. We probably like her to a little bit of a creepy level. And she doesn't look like herself in the game. So
yeah, they made sure to
understand how to deal with that. If they're trying to shame everyone, like the woke scolds that they often are, I think this breaks their brains.
Yeah, probably.
Games for Impact, there's actually not much that I've heard of over here. We already talked about Tales of Kinzira. Actually, Marvin, I hear that you might have an article about the guy in charge of Tales of Kinzira.
Oh, that guy?
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out a tactful way to do that article. So
yep,
it's on the list, but I'm like, how do I word this?
Yeah, I think the last one that we probably need to best ongoing game. I guess that's their way of talking about games that have continued support for a very long time.
Live service, yeah.
Yeah.
Concord ain't on that one.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 14.
This is really one of the worst battle passes I've ever seen for Fortnite. Then I realized it only goes to level 50 this time.
Oh, it does. Wow.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that until I was the kids were asking about the battle pass, and I was like, really? I don't want to pay for the battle pass on this one. I don't want to pay $8.50 for half a battle pass. And then I realized, oh, well, I can get the Rocket Pass plus 2 battle passes for like $12 if I buy Fortnite Crew. So like, okay, I'll be cheap. I'll get 1 month of Fortnite.
You've got me. You've got me, Epic.
Yeah, there's not much here to talk about here. They at least have a best action game for Helldivers 2. So
yeah,
there's that. Oh, and finally, Nintendo gets in the best action adventure genre. So these are the ones where I think the awards would actually matter, but they're so far down on the list. When you get into the actual genres, then you have questions here. Multiverses.
These are the awards that I would like to actually see happen, that I would like to see acceptance speeches for, that I would like to see presentations for. But these are the ones that we glossed over so we could do games for impact. But yes, multiverses on this list. Who is playing this and is like, was it just like we need 5 games and there weren't 5 fighting games this year?
Yes. It's very much, I guarantee you it was added for very much the same reason why Disney wins everything at the Academy Awards all the time, because all the voters just went, I know that game. I've heard of it. I haven't played it, but I've heard of it. Throw it on there. Why not?
I have tried to play it. It is not good.
I know it's awful. It's a really bad game, and it makes me really upset because it's the only game you can play a Black Lantern in.
I'll also point out that they advertised it for way too long before the game actually came out. So there was a few times that I thought, I'm sure this is out, and then checked the PlayStation Store, and it wasn't there.
Well, because they did a thing where they released it early, and they were like, yeah, we're going to roll this early access into the full release. And then they went, oh, never mind. Everybody didn't like this so much. We're actually going to pull it down for like 8 months and work on it and then bring it back. And so nobody knew what was going on at any time. It's just been a disaster from launch for that game.
Yeah, I'll also throw in here Star Wars Outlaws for best action adventure game. No. Astrobot, yeah, okay.
Yes.
Adventure game, yes, for sure. Also, Astrobot is a love letter to Sony PlayStation. There are games that I will never play because they aren't my cup of tea. But the way they're referenced in Astrobot,
but you know them.
It's interesting that Astrobot is up for action adventure game and family game, so it's nominated in 2 categories plus game of the year.
The other thing I'll point out is that Astrobot is a single player game and is not. It's actually pretty hard.
Yeah,
that's what I've
heard. There are
some
some levels in there where
challenging.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's like the hardest game in the world, but if you go from Astro's Playroom, which I could literally hand that to a toddler and eventually they could get through it. It's a very forgiving game, and then go to Astrobot. Astrobot actually has some challenge to it. So I don't know.
You look at best family game also. That's Nintendo's time to shine.
Oh yeah,
I'm surprised Princess Peach Showtime got in there. That makes me happy.
Yeah.
Me too. It won't win, but it makes me happy.
Yeah, so I think Astrobot is probably going to sweep the awards here. Best adaptation, my vote is for Knuckles because I found it hilarious, and I was one of the 3 people who watched it.
I watched it. I was one of the other.
Yeah, I was the third. The third.
All of us are here on this panel.
Me and Marvin.
Yep.
I saw a DVD the other day, and it was like a box set before Sonic 3 comes out, and it's like the first Sonic movie, second Sonic movie, and all the Knuckles show.
Man.
And I love the name of it. It was called Everything So Far, and I just love the transparency.
Okay. That's kind of good. I like. Okay, now that's different. I like that.
I loved the Knuckles show because I'm like imagining the elevator pitch for it. I'm like, well, guys, what about a show about Knuckles? Oh, love Knuckles. He's a fantastic character. Yeah, but like we don't have the money to actually animate him in every episode. So like, what if he joins a really Jewish family and we just have them be on the screen most of the time, with occasional appearance by Knuckles sitting in a chair not moving.
They basically took the Poochie joke from Simpsons and made it real. If Knuckles isn't on screen, everybody should be asking, "Where's Knuckles?" And that's how they get him in the story.
Yeah.
Does that include? I must go now. My planet needs me.
Yep. Oh, 100. I must go now. My emerald needs me.
I also need to point out this show is kind of insane. Episode 3 is the Shabbat dinner, and there's a fight scene set to Hava Nagila, and it's actually a pretty good fight scene. I got to point out, and it has Stockard Channing beating the tar out of a group of gun agents. Sorry, not to spoil it here, but then it's followed by a rock opera dream sequence episode that was directed.
We get Knuckles' entire backstory,
Yeah.
like given to you in purely like organic form.
and it was directed by one of the guys from The Lonely Island, and so Knuckles is played by Adam Pally, but voiced by Michael Bolton.
Oh,
so it's
pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's kind of insane. And then the whole bowling plot line and whatever about the guy who has something to do with Robotnik. You could throw the whole thing out. If you find Adam Pally funny, you will find Knuckles the television show funny. If you don't find Adam, that's the guy who's Wade, who is sitting. Yeah, if you find him funny, then you will find the show funny. And if you don't, you probably should skip this one. It's also mostly clean. So here's the shill category right here. Most anticipated game.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, Metroid. It's going to be GTA 6.
Death Stranding.
Yeah, I gotta say,
I
Ghost
think these
of
are all
USA,
probably these are usually games that they're going to be highlighting in some way, shape, or form with a trailer or something.
Yeah,
Probably.
Yeah. What do you guys think? Is this one that we should follow along? I haven't looked to see when this is actually going to be airing.
I believe December the 13th. I want to say.
Okay, what day of the week is that?
I don't know.
Maybe, just maybe.
What day of the week is it now?
It's a Friday, so
it's Friday.
Maybe we should live stream the Game Awards.
Agreed.
On this,
put on your fancy dress.
I was hoping we would. I'll wear a tie and everything.
That's what I mean. Yeah, we're black tying it up.
If only to react to the game trailers.
Yeah. I think that
Eastern
and
time,
make fun of Geoff Keighley.
That's or go ahead real quick, Nolan. What were you gonna say?
Okay, so it's gonna be Thursday, December 12th, 7:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern time.
Oh,
so
Toonie Talk TV. I might have to move the show that week so we can do the Game Awards special.
I think
it's on the 12th.
Yeah, it's saying
on
that
Thursday.
Thursday.
Boo. Yeah. All right.
We'll figure it out.
See,
we've got a little bit of time.
Before we move on, I want to mention this to Marvin because you keep mentioning Geoff and all the trailers, and I just want to note that I don't know about you, but one of my favorite bits about every Game Awards. Don't like it. I think it's all ridiculous. I just watch it for the trailers as everybody, but I love whenever Geoff, and he does it like 2 or 3 times a show. He's like, now everybody get ready for the most incredible, the most innovative game. Oh my, I can't even tell you. I am ready to sell my family for this game. Games will change. And then he's like, check out the trailer. And it's like some 8-bit indie game about like collecting socks. And it's like, what are you doing here, Geoff? And he does it every time. I love it.
I love nothing that man does, and I hope now that you've said that he makes Simulu a presenter on the award show.
He's going to.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
At the Jake Paul fight, you sent me that photo, and I went, I know he's going to be there. I know he's going to be a presenter. I'm so mad.
Was Simulu?
He wants to be a part of video games, but not like this.
Was Simulu at the Jake Paul fight?
Yeah.
What does it say that, by the way, that Mike Tyson was on the card and we call it the Jake Paul fight? There we go.
I don't call it the Jake Paul fight.
Yeah. Mahogany draws.
I call it buffering the fight.
I'm sorry, but if BMW, Metaphor, and Astrobot and Helldivers 2 got the Game of the Year nomination, then 40K Space Marines 2 and Stellar Blade deserved the nomination, as they also made huge impacts this year. Is that Stellar Blade there?
Yep, on GameCube.
How did you do that?
Time travel.
I have a printer and I had a lot of fun.
That's great. I love that.
I needed something for the background of a Lost in the Files, and it was perfect. And I love every minute of it.
By the way, everybody go check out Lost in the Files. Nolan puts a lot of work in, and it shows on screen. Jay, for $5, how many members of Critical Role do you think will show up to the awards and leave partway to play D&D?
I hope all of them leave very quickly.
Seriously, we at least know that what's his name's going to be there. Mercer, he's always there.
Jacob Foxfires for $10. Game Awards have always been inconsistent. They put a collection of old games as the best fighting game, or how they have Pokemon Pocket, which just came out, but snubbed Xenoblade 2 back then. Let's see.
How about, you know what? They also snubbed Pal World with not one nomination.
You know what though? I will push
Nintendo.
back. No, I will push back against that though, because technically that game is still in early access, and early access games don't ever qualify for this list.
I know that.
It's a technicality.
They do have Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics.
It's I'm a giant fighting nerd. That's like my game of the year probably, and even I think that that's a dumb move, because it's like, it's just a collection. There's nothing new here.
It's not even a remaster. It's not like Super Mario Brothers and then Super Mario Brothers All-Stars where they're reconstructing something. It's probably emulation of the existing game.
1,000%.
Spencer, you make a good point about, how it's still technically early access. We were going through the list there earlier. I didn't really get a good chance to say this. It was talking about the best shows, and it had Knuckles nominated, Fallout, Tomb Raider for some reason. But I saw in there
because that's the best one, duh.
But it has Arcane on there, and I'm currently going through that series. The full season isn't even out yet. So how can they put it on there when it's not even complete?
That is interesting. I don't know anything about Arcane, so I didn't even know that. I thought
it only came out like 2 weeks ago, and it's so nominations had to be counted recently. Kalichi for $5. Marvin, do you think that Square is milking Final Fantasy VII RE, splitting it into 3 parts? Square isn't the healthiest video game company. Did third party release?
I actually love that they're releasing it as 3 games. I want to spend as much time in that world as is humanly possible. So, I'm all for 3 games because it gives them the opportunity to flesh things out. And there's just so many places and things from the original that you got to explore more deeply in these games that I just think was tremendous. At first, I was taken aback by them putting the first game completely in Midgar. But then when I played it, I was like, oh, no, I get it. We're really like...
They broke that first one at the right spot.
When I was in Sector 7, like when I got to Sector 7, I'm like, this is such a wonderful little community, like this great. And then I remembered what's going to happen in Sector 7, and I'm like, oh no. And then like you do that mission with Biggs, Wedge, and Jesse, and I'm like, oh, they're delightful. Oh no. Like it was and I thought, not to get on but the most brilliant thing they did was make one of the primary antagonists of the game these spirits that go nuts every time you try to change something from the original. These spirits just go ballistic.
I love that. A lot of people don't like the remake series because they're like, oh, I wanted a remake, but I'm with you, Marvin. Like, I love the series and I love the Time Jannies. I love that they split it up. Basically, just go to Marvin for my review of these games because we're probably going to share the exact same thoughts.
It's so refreshing seeing people giving a love letter to this game. I've seen so much hate for it, and I'm like, what is all this about? Like, it's nice seeing fans gushing about it. It makes me so happy.
Well, we do have something we need to talk about, though, for why it might not be everything that people think it's going to be. Tennille89 for $5 just makes me happy. E3 is gone. Frankly, I don't know if anybody on the panel has been to it and can back me up on this, but I felt gross every time I went. I never actually got to go to E3, but E3 struggled with identity issues throughout.
It just got replaced by Gamescom by Geoff Keighley.
Yeah.
Well, so I have gone to the Game Awards back when it was, or not the Game Awards, E3 back when it was around. I don't know if I necessarily was in too much of a crowd to get the disgusting feeling, but as someone who goes to cons a lot, I totally get that. One of the big complaints I always walked away from the E3 with was you would have to wait in lines to play, a respective game, which is fine. But, the bigger ones or whatever would have hour-long waits. So I'm standing in line for 2 hours to play a 30-minute demo. And this was in, we were in the era I was going in, like the early late 2000s, like 2008, 9, we were on that cusp of more video game demos coming out, right? Like for 360 and stuff like that. So I was like, I'll just wait. Like, why am I going to go spend 3 hours sitting in line to play 30 minutes of a game I can just try later on? So I think a lot of the advent of the internet, or not the advent, but like the widespread of the internet, you know, putting your trailers up there, putting your demos up there, it made going to one spot, you know, irrelevant.
Well,
And
I
we
mean,
can thank Nintendo a
but
little bit
I
for
was
the
wrong.
final-
I have to correct myself. I was trying to say it got replaced by Summer Games Fest, not Games. But that's
yeah,
Gamescom's Spencer
different, yeah.
Games Fest.
Please,
I appreciate
all anime all day.
JRPG.
And a 5-hour Fortnite panel.
Radial Drago for £5. Seeing all the recurring names in these categories really tells me it's been a bad year for games. Fair point. Base Player 2001, by the way, and the recurring names also being games that are just re-releases of games. Base Player Iffy for $4.99. Notice that 2 of the games nominated for Best Narrative are 27 and 23 years old. If one of them wins, that shows how bad the industry has gotten. What they didn't even put a Last of Us remaster. I always assumed that a Last of Us remaster is coming out every single year.
I presume if there's not one coming out, it's being worked on.
Yeah.
I am proud to say
I'm
proud to say I've only bought The Last of Us Part 2 one time so far, as opposed to the first one, which I bought 5 different times.
I started playing it when it was
better. I bought
on
0.
Yeah, PlayStation Plus. I started playing it, and then I realized, oh, I don't want to be depressed. So Tennille89 for $5. Darktide should be on the list. Jesper Kid is awesome. You must be Jesper kidding.
I have heard Darktide is really, really good. I think it's just getting overshadowed by Space Marine 2.
Well, there was a story that I wanted to bring up here, guys. You're all completely off base on everything that you've said about Final Fantasy VII and the remake.
Yeah, we're gamers. We're always wrong.
The greatest or whatever. I understand you weren't there in the same way that I was here, and I just have to say that the greatest Final Fantasy game that has ever existed is possibly. Maybe getting a remake. Final Fantasy VI, the pinnacle of the series. Dragon Quest III producer wants an HD 2D remake of Final Fantasy VI. This by James Troughton from The Gamer.
Can we explain HD 2D? Do they mean like Octopath?
Well, Octopath does come up in this article here. Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake producer that's 2 A's in a row, so I'm going to say Masaki Hayasaki revealed that he would like to tackle Final Fantasy VI next. Spencer?
Yes.
The Philippines are closer to Japan than the Midwest. How am I doing on that name?
But Japan actually likes the Midwest as opposed to the Philippines. No, you're on point so far. You got it
okay.
right.
It's not that we have concrete plans for this, but personally, I would have to say Final Fantasy VI. Hayasaki said in an interview with Inverse when asked what other remakes he'd like to see. Octopath Traveler, the first HD 2D title, was developed while referencing Final Fantasy VI, as it had the highest quality pixel art. I love the way this guy talks. I would love to see how the game we referenced would look with HD 2D art style, because the art style itself was created while referencing such titles. It's highly compatible with games originally made using pixel art. Final Fantasy, well, that's now we're going into the other game. Final Fantasy VII Remake producer Yoshinori Kitase commented on a possible FF6 remake back in January, claiming that it would take twice as long to develop as Rebirth did. So I get it, but also I wouldn't mind if they did a 3D version. No, I'm going to say it. I always tend to not be as pleased with a 3D remake of a Final Fantasy game that was originally in 2D.
That's
here.
My boy.
No,
yeah.
What is an HD 2D remake of? What? Like, I don't understand what that is.
So it's basically like the recent Dragon Quest III remake or the Live Alive remake they did like a year or two ago. It's basically sort of taking the 2D sprites and almost sort of putting them in a 3D diorama. They still move as if it's a 2D space, but it looks not 3D, but it has more depth to it. There's more shading. There's more lighting. It's essentially taking all the new graphical technology we have and throwing it onto sprites.
Yeah, have you seen Octopath Traveler? Have you played much of that?
I've not.
Okay, well then I'm gonna pull up Octopath Traveler here.
Definitely pull something.
The game is beautiful.
Yeah, Octopath I actually dislike the fact that they let you choose where you start, because that's not how RPG narratives should work here. Let's see. Here we're gonna use.
I just looked it up on my phone too, and that looks.
This is
Woo!
HD 2D right here.
Wow,
So
that's kind of cool.
it has depth to it, but it still stays in that art style. And these are the obviously, if he's referencing here, this is Square trying to ape the style of Final Fantasy VI while going for this. I think this is the kind of thing that I think it would be beautiful, and it would be a great way to make a little cheddar here while keeping Final Fantasy VI relevant to the modern day. I'm reminded of the fact that Konami right now realized they hadn't had a solid Snake game in forever, which is why they decided to make Metal Gear Solid Delta, or Delta Solid, whatever combination of words they ended up using for that title. But I like this art style a lot.
Delta Gear Metal.
Of course,
a
then they
remake
should
like
just...
this would be a great way to differentiate itself from the Final Fantasy VII remake, because they just keep doing, the same thing over and over again with like an 8 remake, a 9. That's like at least 3 more games of this 3D remake style. If you take like possibly, I would argue this is like the second most popular Final Fantasy game. If you go full on with this art style, you could have like some really unique perspectives on where to go with the series going forward. I think this would be genius.
I would love to see Lunar made in this kind of style.
Yes.
But we're already getting Lunar remastered, so I'm happy enough for that.
Yeah, and
go ahead, Jonas.
No, and I don't know if it's Capcom or if it's Square, but we bring it up all the time. People say I mention Fortnite all the time, but it gets ignored that we bring up Breath of Fire all of the time on this.
Never happening. I don't even know if they remember that they have that IP anymore. I genuinely don't know if they remember they own it.
It is such a fun game, and anyhow, that was the one that got me into JRPGs back in the day. I said full screen, not partly full screen here. Okay. All right. Well, so I don't know if this is going to happen. This is dreamcasting on some part on the part of the developer here, but I would love. I'm using the word love to play Final Fantasy VI again in this style, and let people know exactly what a Final Fantasy game should look like.
So I came up I obviously grew up with all the old SNES, the NES games, all that sprite work. And when I first got on the internet and started doing creative stuff, I was really involved in doing like custom sprite work. So I really, really love and appreciate sprites like this, like old graphical sprites. So I've actually been a big critic of when a game like an old SNES game or something gets a remake and they just 3D model it. Because it looks 3D now, but you've sort of taken away the soul of it. Yeah. One of the best examples I always give, Pokemon is one of my best examples, and the other one is Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memory, which came out on Game Boy Advance, was beautiful in 2D sprites, and then they just remade it, and all they did was slap the Kingdom Hearts 1 models in a 3D plane, and it was like, yeah, that's kind of lame. So like HD 2D, I think they should just keep doing these. For any game that was in sprites should always be remade like this, and not necessarily in a full 3D form.
Here's an excellent example.
Lunar, Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy VI.
Here's a great example of a game that I don't think would work in a modern art style in any way. Earthbound. Andrew Monahan is bringing this one up.
I don't want to see Earthbound in a modern art style, because that means I have to see Gygas in a modern art style, and I would have nightmares for weeks. So no, thank you.
That would be awesome.
Yep. Well, in the whole game, of course, Shigesato Itoi. I'm forgetting what the last vowel in his name is, but Itoi's childhood nightmares is what caused the inspiration for that final boss fight. Wow, really kind of nuts stuff when you think about what we had back in the day. They censored it a little bit for America, which is fine because I wouldn't have been allowed to play it.
Big babies we are.
Exactly. Anyhow, Earthbound, perfect, just the way it is. But I wouldn't mind a 3D remake of that. Marvin, you've been so quiet. I didn't mean to offend you by saying that Final Fantasy VI is better than Final Fantasy VII.
You know what? I've never actually played the game the whole way through. I really should, because I like the characters from it. I like Kefka, so.
I will tell you, I have played almost all of Final Fantasy VI, and I've actually refused to finish it myself. I've watched the end on some stuff, but I like the idea that I've never finished that game. I want it to continue to live on how it is. Played it many times, played it many hours, but you can only max out the espers so far before you finally get to the... That's a weird one. Of course, Chrono Trigger, I've beaten, many times, but Final Fantasy VI.
Have you gotten every possible ending for Chrono Trigger?
Yes. I mean, there might be a couple modifications here or there, like a if I didn't save this guy in this particular instance kind of ending. But what is it like? Is it 11 endings or is it 15 endings? But yeah, I've gone through and pretty much gotten them all on Chrono Trigger. That is the pinnacle of okay, so Final Fantasy VI is my pinnacle of Final Fantasy games, and I think Chrono Trigger probably pretty good case to be made that that's the best RPG for the SNES.
Yeah, I would say
no
so.
no argument from me.
No, we do have we got a super chat here that we should read. One last thing to point out about the awards: notice how they are all Asian produced, not a single Western AAA for Game of the Year.
I hadn't noticed that.
Balatro's Canadian, but yeah, it's not AAA.
Well, we do like the foreign games here with Balatro.
I'm just being purposely annoying by having my Balatro flag fly. I know what the actual conversation is.
It's from Local Funk, which is quite
I will.
Yeah, that's a really.
China.
It's also odd that a mobile game or a game that is compatible for mobile, I should say, because they've released it on many systems.
Elden Ring being Bandai, Square Enix, Studios. Yeah, this is all Asian.
Yep, and I'm okay with that. I don't notice because I like the Asian studios more. That's why I like Sony.
Of course, everybody does. They're the only ones making good things anymore.
Well,
they're the only ones making games anymore.
You could either make great games as an Asian developer, or you could just buy a studio that makes great games.
Oh no!
You know what story we're going to be talking about?
I know what we're talking about.
To finalize this one, Sony is in talks to buy From Software, or From Software's parent company. Report claims this is
really bad.
Grant Taylor from Insider Gaming. In an exclusive report published today by Reuters, it was claimed that Sony is in talks to purchase Kadokawa, the corporation that owns the majority of From Software, the developer of Elden Ring. It was claimed in the report that Sony wants to acquire the media powerhouse and that a deal would be signed in the coming weeks. Despite the claims being corroborated by two trusted sources close to Reuters and the deal, both Sony and Kadokawa have declined to comment.
Oh boy.
They would not comment. Of course, they wouldn't comment on ongoing negotiations.
So there, I'm gonna take the lead here because this is actually way more insidious than just From Software. So for those of you guys who don't know Kadokawa, they are a giant Japanese media conglomerate. They've been around since the 50s, and they have their whoops, I didn't come back on camera. What the heck?
That's all right. There's beautiful.
No, I meant to come back so that you guys can all throw tomatoes at me appropriately. But so not only do they they have From Software, but they also have their hands in basically every sort of Japanese media industry. So they own a bunch of manga magazines. They publish. They're the owners of the publishers behind the Mobile Suit Gundam mangas, Sergeant Frog, if you guys know that, Bungo Stray Dogs, Bio Armor Booster Guyver. So they have a big manga publishing arm. They also have a big anime production arm, which is they have the teams that are responsible for things like Uzaki-chan Wants to Hang Out, Rising of the Shield Hero, and the recent Oshinoko. And in addition to From Software, they also have an ownership. They have 100% ownership of the studio. What is it called? Acquire? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, they own Acquire.
Yeah, which is the studio that is the owners. They were the guys who did the Tenchu series way back in the day, and they also have They have a majority ownership of Spike Chunsoft, who, if you guys don't know them, They're the team behind like Danganronpa, Virtue's Last Reward, and surprisingly, they just did the Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. So if this purchase goes through, not only does Sony get, you know, their arm in the, or not only do they get ownership of FromSoft and of Spike Chunsoft and Acquire in terms of video games, but remember, Sony also they're the entity behind Funimation, who, you know, brought Crunchyroll and is sort of monopolizing the Western anime industry. So this is a big, you know, threefold plan for Sony to go, oh, everybody likes Japanese stuff. We definitely shouldn't have gotten rid of all of our Japanese stuff. Let's buy it. Let's buy our way back in.
Well, also Octopath Traveler 2, since all of these stories tend to fold back in on themselves. This is probably something that when the head of Sony said, we don't own enough IPs, this was probably something that was part of that initiative when they said, we don't own enough. Well, maybe Sony is trying to get their finger in a few more pies here. The way that we've seen so many Western movie studios try to own everything or get bought into a larger complex. Obviously, Disney, we talk about Disney all the time. The fact that Disney is a media organization, meaning the news media, muddies the waters on a lot of stuff. And they also own the rights to all of college sports. I don't want to, forgive me, I don't want to talk about sports on this channel. But if Sony wants to go from being a hardware manufacturer that owns a lot of IPs because they make games into this territory, that's a bit of a problem. Also, Acquire and also Spiky Chunsoft. They work with a lot of different studios, not just Sony titles, but they have stuff that's releasing only on Windows or only on Nintendo. They're part of Mario and Luigi Brothership, for instance. Acquire is Spike Chunsoft, Sparking Zero. They worked on the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon titles just a few years ago. So this is something where if Sony decides to come in and cut off everyone else, then I think we have a problem on our hands more than anything else. But the fact that they're going for From Software, do you think that means that the Souls games would be exclusive to Sony platforms? And Sony also and PC. And PC. That's a good point. Yeah, forgot about that.
Essentially what I see this playing out is one, I think that this is a typical Sony move. I think this is an overreaction to the failure of Concord, right? Because they went, oh, let's go all in on Concord. Oh, that didn't work. Let's go all in over here. And while like this is a better move, it's also sort of like, why are you going out and acquiring things when you guys should really be focusing and like hunkering down on, you know, rebuilding what you have, getting back to your fundamentals, because nothing is working for you guys right now. So that's what I don't think that this is really them trying to monopolize the market and say, okay, nobody's going to get any of these games. Mario and Luigi Brothership, we're taking it off of sale because we worked on it. I don't think it's that. I really think this is, let's get From Software. Well, I think the anime thing has a big part to do with it, but I think in terms of video games, it's let's get From Software because they have such a good reputation among players. All of their games, even if people dislike them, they're still amazingly well received, highly lauded, from Armored Core to Dark Souls to Elden Ring. So let's get their goodwill because we don't have any of ours. And if they're our company, then we can technically say, oh, gamers love From Software, which means they love Sony. Buy a PlayStation. Oh,
there you go. Well, that's a very Disney kind of move. By the way, I've been trying to find some comparable valuations here because that's what I do on the business side of things. $1.6 billion. It looks like that's what the value of the parent corporation Kadokawa is. And guess how much Sony is worth right now? $207 billion.
Oh, okay.
So I was gonna say probably less than that because they lost like $1 billion on Concord. So
yeah, But when we're at that phase, and there are other things that Sony has, and it's not just a video game business. It's not just a movie business. It's many other.
I'm
things,
just taking a pot shot.
But you're totally right. But the fact that they are so large that they can probably buy Kadokawa and not sweat it. That's less than 2% of the entire value of the company.
What's their Jonas? Do you happen to know what is their main what's keeping them afloat? Is it like TVs? Microwaves? What's happening? Because their movies aren't good.
I'm gonna have to do more research on that because I don't think Sony Pictures with Columbia TriStar is probably not making up $200 billion of assets here. That's what that is, by the way, 200 billion.
Yeah.
I'll have to do a little research into it, but they're obviously a giant company that sells.
I was just wondering if you knew off the top of your head.
Also, you have to remember that every Blu-ray, a little piece of that goes back to Sony every single time a Blu-ray is sold. So
or a player is made or something. Yeah.
We're about to wrap up here, but let's see here. We should probably read these super chats before we go because now it's time to say goodbye to all our companies. And we already got this one from Jacob Foxfires, but thank you so much. The Wild Man of Yavin for $5. Chrono Trigger and FF6. Awesome. Another PS game through Xenogears. Would love to see that come back. Insert meme. Take my money.
Shut up and take my money. Oh, I wish we could get a Xenogears. I'm hoping someday when Nintendo's all said and done with the Xenoblade Chronicle stuff, maybe we'll get a big old collection of the Xeno sagas. Or the Xeno Space Saga. So that'd be like Xenogears, Xeno Saga, Xenoblade. But
that includes Xenomorph.
Yes. As the Fortnite DLC, you get a free code.
Jacob Foxfires for $20. FromSoft is the icing on the cake, but that's not what Sony is after. They're 100% going after the see, Jacob Foxfires knows after the manga in anime studios under Kadokawa. Sorry, I'm sure I'm butchering the name. The last bastion of Japanese.
You got it actually right on point.
Thank you. But I did say manga and then anime, so I switched.
That's how I say it.
Yeah, and not anime. The last bastion of Japanese creativity, and Sony just wants to monopolize. See, Jacob Foxfires, I feel like you and me, we're on the same page on this right here now.
You guys know it.
Yep. Alpha Omega for $5. Kusoni buys. Let's see. I think it's Sony buys Kadokawa, and you can kiss anime and manga goodbye. It'll be censored DEI slop that kills the industry since Kado is the biggest publisher. The other question that comes up is Sony doing this just at the Western studios, or are they doing it across the board?
Across the board. So I can validate that because earlier this year, so Sony actually does have their own manga publishing arm. It's through Square Enix, and it actually has a lot of really popular series that a lot of you guys might know, like Soul Eater and Full Metal Alchemist. But earlier this year, they released their own, mobile reader app for that service. And when they did, it was completely censored. And I don't even mean they covered up, a girl's, chest or something. It was like, oh yeah, punch the guy in the face. And that entire fist with connection to face, black square, complete. And it was over everything, and it caused this huge storm. They eventually undid it, but yeah, Sony wants to do that with everything.
That's worse than 4Kids did back in the day. That's awful.
Yeah, no, they didn't even try to replace anything, Nolan. It's straight up there are just pages where it's 3/4 black and 2 characters' heads at the top because they're stabbing each other at the same time or something, and they're can't show that.
Tennille89, $5. Oh no, not sports. Next time you'll tell me you'll have to discuss such scary topics as fresh air or, heaven forbid, math.
No, we are not talking that last.
I did
one.
math right here on the live stream. You just, you heard the end product. I didn't show the work, but here we are. And
it doesn't count then.
Yeah, you must have been using AI.
That's true. That's true. It's funny when I see in the live chat that people have said he doesn't have an accent. I bet it's AI generated. I'm sorry.
Your voice?
Yeah, that's one that comes up a lot, especially when I was doing the monotone on Everything Woke.
Oh, okay, but no way.
Yeah, you guys are not using AI enough if you think that's if this kind of awkwardness came from a computer, then we're all sunk.
They deserve to win at that point.
Yeah, the Mum for $199. It's their hardware, chips, and TVs.
Oh, that are keeping them afloat. Yeah,
Yeah,
I could see it being their chips. I totally forgot they even manufacture those.
yeah, and I'm trying to look here to see who owns most of them. It's the Master Trust Bank of Japan that owns them, and everybody else is a lesser shareholder. I don't know enough about the philosophy of the Master Trust Bank of Japan to comment on the BlackRock style influences that are probably there.
You mentioned the word before I did, because I was about to say, but you know what, Jonas? There's something relevant that I need to let our viewers know. BlackRock just bought Jersey Mike's. We're done. Say goodbye to the sandwiches.
Oh no!
Quality is gone.
We're gonna have a lot more Black Forest ham on the menu.
Made from bugs.
Yep. All right, guys, we need to wrap this up here. But before we do, I want to tell you all, guys, I already said it once before, but you need to go check out Lost in the Files over there on Nolan Thunder's channel. Nolan, do you want to? When is your next video coming out?
All right. It's actually, just last night, I was actually doing some testing for a projector for an effect I want to do for the video. It's going through what I like to call right now, what's it called? Principal photography. I'm doing a lot of testing and stuff to see if I can get the effects to go for the video, because it's probably going to be the biggest episode since episode 4 as far as effects go. I'm aiming at an early spring 2025 release, but if I can get it done sooner, I'm definitely going to. But I'll just say I'm hoping to take advantage of the snowfall here soon for some more pyrotechnic type effects. So I'm getting hyped. So be on the lookout for that at Nolan Thunder. Thank you for the kind words, by the way.
Oh, no problem. No problem. I wouldn't say them if they weren't true. Spencer, what have you got coming up? When's the next episode of Foil Variant?
Well, if I can, I'm like dropping everything over here and everything is exploding, which is par for the course for Foil Variant, which has its next episode Thursday night at 6 p.m. Central Time. Yeah, me and Andrew Rodriguez of the Ripperverse, we hang out over on Foil Variant on YouTube. We talk all the latest comic book news, so if that's up your alley, come hang out with us. Aside from that, you can check out boundingintocomics.com every day where we're putting up new news. You can come hang out with me on my channel, Kabuto Studios, or you can go catch me over on Tooneytown TV, which my man Marvin will definitely let you know more about.
Awesome.
While I pick up my mouse.
Marvin, where you at, bro?
Yeah, so you guys can find me over at Tooneytown TV. We're posting videos most days regarding all the crazy pop culture goings on of the week. Also, we have a live stream every Thursday night, of which both Spencer and Nolan are regular members of my panel on that show. It's called Toonie Talk TV. It's Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And tonight, over on my wrestling channel, Tooneytown Wrestling, we've got Toonie Talk Wrestling, a live stream pro wrestling podcast. So make sure you guys check that out if you are a wrestling fan. And of course, guys, you make sure you be bookmarking and checking that parkplace.com every single day for all of that news that should be fun.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Marvin. I appreciate the plug there. Also, Jacob Foxfires for $5. Screw Sports, especially Paul v. Tyson. Real Men. Watch the death battle of Bowser and Eggman this weekend.
Yeah, that was crazy.
So
that battle went hard for once.
Do you know, by the way, do you guys know who came up with the death battle series?
Who? Was it you?
It was Stuttering Craig.
Really?
Awesome.
Yeah. Isn't Death Battle part of what Screw Attack did? Maybe I'm dead wrong here.
I believe so. I think they branched off. But I think it did make it start on Screw Attack, and that's pretty awesome. And I always have so much respect for Stuttering Craig, because without him, I probably wouldn't be here, because he was kind of his videos back in the day were my gateway into gaming culture. So I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Yeah. And Kalichi
I might disagree with the Game Awards, but the guy's great. He's got a pedigree. Awesome. That's so cool.
He's a solid dude. Dude. Kalichi Oak for $2. Jonas, next episode of Everything Woke when? Okay, so I have gotten a hold of a copy of the latest episode of Moon Girl that was banned. So I may have started working on that one. I can't guarantee anything.
I can't believe even I wanted to throw my computer out the screen. I can't even imagine how you're handling it.
I mean, at this point, the stuff doesn't make me angry, but there's so many lies. and there's so much about it that if
That's what
this
I mean,
is something
yeah.
that goes to a bunch of adults and a bunch of adults want to argue in a room and not affect anybody else, that's one thing. But when you start marketing to kids, anyways, you all probably can guess my feelings on all of that. As a Christian, I have certain viewpoints. As a guy who wants to get out there and convince people that maybe we're going a little insane, sometimes I handle that a little differently than I would if I was talking to you in a Bible study. Right. Anyways, let's talk about that another time. But Kalichi,
I heard there was a dinosaur on that show once.
Yeah, and he was a devil dinosaur, that was one of my jokes in Everything Woke. Is in the 90s, that would have been the end of the conversation.
Oh, I need it.
Oh, beautiful. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. I love doing that gameplay. Send a kind word to our good friend Culture. He's been busy and he's been occupied with something that kept him off of the live stream. So for him.
But for me, it was Tuesday.
And he's not here to say it. So get your game on.